Ow. Alright guys, for today's video, excuse me, we are back under the hood of the Cruze because we are going to do a transmission fluid swap, flush, whatever you want to call it here, for a manual transmission in a Chevy Cruze. So two things. If you have an automatic, first thing, how do you like having a vagina? Now, second thing, if you do have an automatic, the process can be kind of similar to this, but there will be added extra steps, and I will explain that towards the end of the video when I'm done doing this, just to keep you watching this video for long enough to get me some views, okay? But this is for the manual transmission. This is what the transmission fluid we're going to be using. Amsoil, okay? Whatever you get, it needs to be GL4, all right? But Amsoil is pretty much the best in the business, and you pay for the best in the business. This is like 22 bucks per quart, and you can only get it from Amsoil direct. They don't have like any distributors or anything like that. So if you see it sold someplace else, it's either someone's buying it and then trying to resell it, or I don't even know. Maybe it's like counterfeit stuff. I'm not sure, but you get this directly from Amsoil. Link is down in the description. Now, this is a 2011. It had the 75 weight oil or transmission fluid in it. Apparently, later models they put a 70 weight in it. Won't make that much of a difference, and just maybe it's just a little bit thicker, right? But this is really good stuff for high temperatures and all things like that. Because apparently, with these manual transmissions in these cars, and they're also using the Sonic and I don't know, maybe something else, apparently they can build up a lot of heat that won't dissipate, and there's bearing issues or something with that. I don't know. Take that for what you will, but this is known to be the best on the business. Okay. 2 quarts is pretty much what it will need from the factory. It's 1.89 quarts, so like 1.9, but due to their known issues with this, if you go and get it refilled up, I think a GM dealership would do like 2.35 quarts or something like that. So I'm going to do 2 and like maybe an eighth or a quarter quart. So you'll need at least 2 quarts depending on what you're doing, and it'll be on that. Okay. Now to show you, we have up here at the top of the transmission, that plug right there. That is the fill plug. Oh, that should be a 8mm hex. All right, down here on the bottom, go under here. Let me grab a light so you can actually see. Well, where's my light? I guess my light's underneath here. There's a light. Okay. We're down here below, and it is right there. See that plug right there? Get my finger around. I can't really get my finger around. Wait, turn it upside down. Okay. That plug, where am I? Right there. Okay, that's a 10mm. If you have the belly pan that was on here originally for a recall, they just kind of cut that out. If for some reason you don't have that belly pan, or you still have the belly pan on there, you're going to have to remove it. The knot's cut out, so you can get to it right here. You can't really fit a full socket in there, so I'm going to use like a long Allen wrench. If you do have like a H10 kind of socket thing, you can, instead of getting a ratchet in there, you can actually take and put a 10mm wrench on it and use that to kind of break it through and unscrew it. I'm going to use a hex head, just a big Allen wrench to do this. As you can see down here, I have oil leaking everywhere. It would appear that the back side of my oil pan gasket is leaking, so probably get a video on me replacing that. But for right now, we're going to go about draining this out. You'll need a drain pan, obviously. I'm going to do something to block the oil from squirting out all up underneath this, and then just being an issue as you drive down the road and all that. But first things first, I'm actually going to go up top, and I'm going to break free the fill plug just to make sure we can get it out. Because if we can't get that out, and then I go and I drain all this out first before I crack that open at the top, I have no way of really getting transmission fluid back in here. Okay, so I'm going to go back up there and break that free. Okay, I've got the H8 down in here where I showed you before with a long extension. We're just going to try to break it free. did in fact break free. I'll just show you what it looks like real quick. And this is what the plug looks like. Where are you? Oh, right there. Okay. It has a shoulder on it, so this one will get snugged up and kind of torqued down a little bit later. Oh, it's hard to fit in here. So what I'm doing now, god dang, is I'm going to put this back in here. I'm going to run it all the way down, but I'm not going to, I'm just going to run it finger tight. I'm not going to like tighten it up. If I get it started, there we go. Okay. All right, and the reason I am doing that is this will help control the flow in the, out of the bottom hole. So when you have a closed-in chamber, right, that's full of, even if there's no fluid or anything in it, it is still full of air. So if you have fluid inside of it that needs to come out, air has to replace that. So if you have an entry point for air to come in, the exit point, the fluid will come out as high as a rate as possible. If you want to control it as best as you can, you drain out the bottom so it slows down. So as the fluid escapes, the air has to come back in. So it's having to exchange that out, and it slows the rate down. It's the same concept as like shotgunning a beer. So keep that in mind. All right, now we're going to go and move underneath the car and break the drain plug free. Okay, back under here. This is going to be kind of a difficult thing to film here. Probably move my phone. I honestly don't know how much you guys are going to be able to see as I go to do here, but I have a little, where am I? Okay. Kind of a pizza box splash guard setup. You can use whatever you want to kind of do that. Where the hell? Oh, okay, here. So right over here is where the drain plug is right below the CV axle. So what I just need to do in here is get this in here first to break this free, and then I will take out the rest of it with my hand, obviously. Yeah. God dang. Alright, what I'm going to have to do real quick is remove my pizza shield. Okay. Remove that first. That'll give me a little bit more room here. Alright, there we go. Now I got it in there. Get that. Break it free. Now it's not in there super. Oh, there we go. Sorry if you see that or not. It's not in here super tight. Supposedly it's like 15 foot-pounds or something. I don't know. Best of luck trying to get a torque wrench in here to even figure that out. That it would have to be done with it out of the car. Okay, that should hopefully be finger loose. Put that in here. Set my shield back up. Okay. Under there. I'm having to move the camera out of my face so I can actually see what's going on here. All right. There we go. Now you see that? See how it did not go flying and spilling everywhere? That's because I have the top closed off to prevent it. So now what I'm going to go do real quick is open the back up, and we'll let this drain out for about 10 minutes or so. All right, you can see it draining. And I opened the top there. Most of it spilled out. I did not measure how much is in there. It should be probably a little less than 2 quarts. But this is the first time I'm changing this fluid in the car. I just rolled 130,000 miles. So yeah, a little lax on it, but it's all good. It's coming out red too, but like normal kind of looking transmission fluid. So that's pretty good. I just see I pulled out the opening, the fill plug there. So what we're going to do here while we're waiting for that to drain out, hang on, where's mold? Okay, So there's my old plug. If we look at it, we're going to chase these threads with a pick just to kind of clean this out. And it looks like, had a little pipe dope on here from the factory. If you don't know what pipe dope is, it's liquid Teflon. Looks like Teflon tape. So I'm going to chase these threads out. Then I'm going to put a little bit of Teflon tape on here before I go and tighten it back up in there. I'll show you that in a minute. All right, there we go. It's all cleaned up. You can see, I mean, little chunks there of all that piped up in there, scraped out, and hit it with some good old trusty brake clean to get it clean. Now, do you guys ever have that thing to where you can picture in your head exactly where you left something, but when you go to get it, it's not there? That was the way it was with my Teflon tape. So, Teflon tape, this just helps seal in the threads on whatever you're doing. It doesn't take much, and this is also a tapered bolt, so it's not going to, they generally don't leak, but you want to make sure we do everything we can to really reinforce that. We don't need to put a ton on here. And when you're using Teflon tape, you want to make sure that you start the tape so as you're twisting and tightening it, it wraps around in that direction. If you put it on backwards as you go to tighten down the bolt, the tape will pull off and it'll just bind up in the threads. I'm trying to do this on camera so you can see. Just pull a little tight, pull on thread there. All right, that'll be good. You just pull it off, snap it off, and your bolt is ready to go. Now I will just go down under there. I will dry out the hole with a rag as best I can. Put this in here, I'll twist it, and I'll snug it down. Okay, it's not going to take a ton. With tapered bolts into aluminum housings, if you tighten it down too much, it's like you're driving a wedge into it and you can split. Okay, so we're just going to snug it down. It'll be pretty easy to tell if it's leaking at some point in time. In that case, you just snug it down a little bit more. But yeah, other than that, I'm just going to screw this in here, reinstall it, and you saw how much of a pain in the ass it was for me to even get the camera in there to begin with. So I'm just going to do this off camera. We're just putting it in, tighten it back down. And I should say, as I'm draining this out, I also have the passenger side of the car jacked up to try and get as much out as possible. All right, I got that tightened back in there, snugged up. And we'll just take the funnel, put it in here in the top. Blah, blah, blah. I'm freaking word salading today, man. All right, put this here on the top, and we will add just over 2 quarts, okay? Now, unlike a automatic transmission, there's no pressure in a manual transmission. It is just kind of like a splash oiling, to where the gears just rotate constantly into a volume of oil and pick it up and kind of move it through the gears as they turn. An automatic transmission, since it's shifting itself, there is a pump inside the automatic transmission fluid, inside the automatic transmission, that pumps the fluid through all different sorts of valve bodies and all this stuff to actually build up pressure to get the transmission to shift around the gears. It works with computers now and all that shit too, or whatever, but good old manual transmissions, you're in charge of shifting your gears, so you don't have to worry about all of that stuff. So there's 1 quart down. Quart number 2. Take your time, no rush. Now, if you're going to have a leak out of the bottom drain plug now, I mean, it could start leaking from this point on until driving it for a few times. So after you drive it for the next couple times, you're going to want to check and make sure that there's no leaks. If there is, just snug it down a little bit more. I mean, it'll go through heat cycles, not nearly as much as everything in the engine, but you know, transmission will conduct heat over as well. 2 quarts. And we're about 1/8 of a quart, so that was about $6 worth of fluid out of this freaking $22 quart. But like I say, Amsoil is the best in the business. You get what you pay for. Okay, so now as this settles down, let me tell you what you would do in the process if you had an automatic transmission. So same sort of deal. You have your fill at the top. Maybe I'll find a picture. Maybe I'll be lazy and not do it, and you can just kind of figure it out on your own. But there will be a fill port at the top somewhere. It'll probably unscrew, and it should normally have a dipstick on it to measure the level. And then somewhere on the bottom, it's going to be towards the lowest point of the transmission and all that stuff, you will have a drain plug. Okay, so what you would do is you would set up have a empty drain barrel or drain pan, whatever you want to call it, empty and clean. You'll take that, you'll open up the drain plug, drain everything out until it stops pouring out. You'll put put the plug back in, tighten it up. Then you'll take that out of the drain pan and you'll dump that into an empty quart bottle or like a gallon, 5-gallon empty jug, oil jug or something like that, and see how much you actually dumped out. Then you'll go back in and add the same amount of new fluid into your transmission. Okay, you'll start the car up, you'll let it warm up, you'll run it through all the gears, you may back and forth, drive it a little bit or whatever, you'll come back and then you'll do that process again. That's called a drain and fill for an automatic, and at doing that, you will flush out probably about 95% of the old transmission fluid. That's how you can do it in your yard. Same sort of deal. If you want to go and get like a actual flush to where it's hooked up to the machine and they pump the stuff through there with pressure, you can go ahead and do that and pay someone to do that. A lot of people say don't ever do that sort of transmission flush because it can dislodge stuff that's stuck in a transmission. I don't know. I don't necessarily believe that because, like I said, there's already a pump pumping the fluid around in the transmission itself that's going to be moving all that stuff that's lodged in there. So do as you want. But if you want to do that process of automatic, you do a drain and fill at home. You can do it the same sort of process like this and be done with it. All that should have drained out of the funnel. We'll pick this up. It's still probably spilled. Okay, no, not bad. Alright, now we're going to put this back in, re-thread it in. This is a bitch to get tight, or to get started from this awkward angle. Take your time, don't cross thread it. Cross thread, you're screwed. All right, there we go. Okay, now this will be, you can snug it down, or if you want to get anal about it, you can do it about 20 foot-pounds. Up to you. Like I said, there's no pressure inside this, so the only thing this is doing is keeping anything that may be on the gears as gear spins, throw it up from getting out. That's all it really is. So up to you what you want to do. Snug. That's good for me. Okay. And there you go. That is how you swap out the transmission fluid in a manual transmission, and then I walked you through the process of doing it in an automatic. So yeah, that's how you do it. I've got a link for the Amsoil down in the description. Remember, they don't sell it anywhere else. It's direct from distributor. So I would be leery if you try and find something being claimed to be Amsoil someplace else that isn't directly from Amsoil's website, because everything likes to be counterfeited now. You can thank the Chinese for that. But all right, guys, that's all we got for today. Like, comment, subscribe, and all that stuff, and I will see you next time.